So this guitar in my hands is a B&G Little Sister from their Crossroads series. Now this guitar is a really fun and really inspirational guitar, and I play this one a lot. It's been used in a bunch of videos, and I'm forever playing this one while sat in this chair in my studio. But today, I'm actually going to be doing some modifications to this guitar, because a couple of weeks ago, one of my buddies from B&G reached out to me and asked if I wanted to change the tailpiece on this for one of their new tremolo systems. So in this video, I'm going to be modifying this guitar and adding a tremolo to it. So if you want to find out more about what the Little Sister is and the Crossroads series, there's a link in the top corner of this video where you can check out my full-length video of this guitar, and there's some links down below in the description to the B&G website. So whenever it comes to guitar modifications, I'm always a little bit reluctant at first because I develop a bond with a guitar and then I never really want to change that guitar in any way. And this is a guitar that I've definitely bonded with. And, you know, like I said, I play this quite a lot. So at first I was a little bit skeptical about changing it up, but then I thought this tremolo system looks really cool, so I would really like to try it. And it's going to be a really fun upgrade to do on this guitar. So as I said, my buddies at B&G reached out to me recently and asked if I wanted to check out the Tailbar Tremolo. This is an add-on you can buy for your B&G guitar, which converts this, which is the stop tailpiece loaded version of the guitar, into a tremolo system. So in the box, we've got a few things. So we have the tremolo system itself, which looks like this. And as you can see, it says Little Sister on it as well. This is a really cool tremolo because I've not really seen anything exactly like this before. It kind of visually sits somewhere between like a Bigsby and one of those Duesenberg Les trems. It's somewhere kind of in the middle of those two ideas. So along with the tremolo, you've also got the tremolo arm, which you can adjust the length of, which is very cool. And they provide you with all the tools you need as well. So you've got a couple of different Allen keys in there as well. And they also provide, which is very handy, a drill bit, because you do actually need to do some drilling to fit this to the guitar. But the good news is, even if you are as bad at DIY and things like this as I am, you should still be able to do this correctly. So all you need is a drill, a screwdriver, and about 10 or 15 minutes of your time. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I'm not going to take the strings off because this is a slotted headstock guitar, and slotted headstocks take a little bit longer to restring, and I don't want this to be a super long video where you're watching me restring a guitar. So I'm going to leave the strings on there, I'm just going to slacken them off. I'm going to use a capo just to stop them falling off the headstock of the guitar. And I'm just going to start by, I'm actually going to use my string winder for this, just by loosening the strings. Okay, so once those strings are slack, I'm then going to just unhook them from the tailpiece. I haven't actually slackened some of them enough, so I'm going to do that now. Attempt number 2, and they should just pop right out. Those are now off, so I'm just going to kind of thread those to the side where they are out of the way. Now, the first thing I'm going to do actually is clean the guitar up a bit, because this guitar does get quite dusty because it is a glossy black finish, and with the existing tailpiece it's actually quite hard to get underneath to clean some of the dust away. So this guitar has gotten quite dusty, so I'm just gonna give this a quick once over. Glossy black guitars look fantastic, but they are absolute fingerprint magnets. So to start with, all we need to do is just take off the existing tailpiece. Now this is really easy because it's actually just held on with 3 screws at the bottom. So you've got the screw that holds your strap button on. So you can start by taking that one off. And obviously as you do this, make sure you put everything safe. So I'm going to put these to one side so I don't lose them. And then there's these 2 smaller screws, and you just simply take those out, and the tailpiece should then just come away from the body. So that is now done. The tailpiece is off the guitar. Now, what we will be doing is we will actually be drilling into the top of the guitar. Now, don't worry about that, because, you know, if you're anything like me, you panic as soon as a drill comes near a guitar. It's really, really easy. And if I can get this right, anyone can get this right. So we're going to start by taking the new bridge unit. Now, what we're going to do is we're first going to put on the 3 screws that we've taken out. and then we're going to align the bridge. So I'm going to start just by getting this in position, and I'm going to start by putting the strap button pin in first. So that's going to go through the big hole at the bottom of the unit. Once that's on, I'll just finger tighten it to get it caught, and then I'll tighten it with my screwdriver. Now what I am going to do is I'm not going to tighten this all the way. I'm just going to tighten this most of the way so that the bridge is secure on the guitar but isn't fully tight. Because what I do need is I do need a little bit of flex here, because I'm going to align the bridge. Now this is very important, because if the bridge isn't aligned correctly, where the strings come over the saddles here, or out of the bridge I should say, over the saddles, they're not going to be in line. So it's very important that these parts are lined up with the bridge saddles, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. So then I'm going to take these little screws and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to finger tighten them in a little bit, and then I am going to tighten them, but not all the way. Just enough so that there's some flex, because what we do need here is we need the bridge to be secure, but we need it to move like so. And there's a good reason for that, because we're going to use the string tension to actually help us align the bridge. So I'm going to take two of my strings. I'm going to take my high E string, and I'm going to put that over the bridge like so. And there's a little hole on the back there that it slots into. And I'm also going to do the same with my low E string, and just slot that in like so. Now you'll see there's a lot of slack here. So what I need to do now is I actually need to tighten up these strings in order to get the tension added back on. So I'm just going to tighten these ones back into place. I'm going to leave the cap on for this, for the first two strings, but then I will take the cap off once the tension is in place. You don't need to tighten these up to actually being in tune. All you need to do is just add a bit of tension so that it basically pulls the bridge straight. So that's probably enough tension for that string, and I'm going to do the same thing now for the high E. You just want these strings to actually lock into place basically, and add enough pull that it pulls the bridge straight. So the tension of those now, that's pulled what I would consider probably in line. If I look visually, the strings look like they're in line. I can't see any obvious issues there. So I would say I'm happy with that alignment. So now I can tighten everything up at the bottom, and then my bridge should be level. So once you've done that and you've tightened this up and you're happy with it, the bridge actually moves this way as well. There's actually a little pivot point in the middle, and this is controlled by an Allen key on the front side here. So the idea with this is to be able to really fine tune the alignment after you've installed the bridge. So now that I've installed the bridge, I'm just going to look directly down just to visually see that the strings are hitting the saddles in a straight line. Once I'm happy with that, I can then use an Allen key, just go in there and tighten up that little Allen bolt, and that's just going to stop the bridge from moving side to side. So that now is fully secure and everything looks like it's in line. So now I need to put the rest of the strings back on the guitar. So I'm going to fast forward through that bit because you guys don't really need to watch me semi-restring a guitar. Okay, that's on. So now I am going to tune the guitar up first of all, just to get this back in tune and balanced, and then we're going to add the tremolo arm on. The strings may need a bit of a stretch in because I did completely undo them, and I've not done, I will admit, I've not done the neatest job restringing. So if there are some tune and stability issues, I'm probably going to go on a limb and say that's completely my fault. So please take that into account. It's not a hardware problem, it's definitely more of a user problem in my case. And we broke a string. That's exactly the thing I wanted to not happen, because I didn't want to restring this guitar. So, all right, okay, so now that that's happened, I might as well just restring the entire guitar. So we're gonna fast forward now to the point where this guitar is restrung and fully stretched in. All right, so all the new strings are on, but before I fully stretch them in, I'm actually gonna drill in those two extra holes. There's two extra screw holes here on the bridge that need to be drilled. So I'm gonna take the drill piece that they provide. The screws you need are in the bag as well. There's actually enough screws to do a clean install on this. I actually ended up reusing the screws from the previous bridge, but there are actually some fresh ones in there. Right, now with your drill, you want to set this on a very low setting. So you don't want to go too hard here, because all we're really doing is putting some little guide holes, one here and one here in line with the bridge. So be very gentle. You only need to go like a couple of millimeters into the guitar. And the same the other side. Okay. Then take 2 of the provided screws, and then we're going to insert those screws like so, and this is just going to hold the bridge fully in place. These screws are pretty small, so I mean, you can see there on the camera just how small they actually are. So I would only recommend kind of drilling, you know, enough, maybe like 2 or 3 millimeters. I always like to leave a tiny bit extra where I haven't drilled, just so the tip of the screw's got something to catch as well. Okay, so there we go, that is now done. So now, I'm gonna grab my guitar cable, and now I'm actually gonna tune the guitar without breaking a string. Right, so we are in tune. Now the last thing to do is to add the tremolo arm. So this arm actually pushes into this mechanism here, and you can actually tighten it with the Allen key bolts on the side. So I'm going to start just by loosening off those Allen key bolts using the Allen keys provided. That's actually the wrong size one that I've used there. Then I'm going to push the arm in. Now the cool thing with this is you can decide where you want the arm. So you can either have the arm quite far back if you want a shorter arm, or you can have it a bit more further forward like that if you want a longer arm. I'm going to have it about there, kind of feels right to me. So I'm just going to pop that in, give the Allen key a little twist to lock that down, and we're done. There it is. I now have a B&G Tailbar Tremolo fitted to my B&G Little Sister. Now you can see how simple that was. So now that that's fitted, we can do things like this. So you can actually move the tremolo on this both down and up. So functionally this works a little bit like a Bigsby. Like I said, it kind of works off a spring system. You can move the arm anywhere you want it. It's kind of like a cross between a Bigsby and a Duesenberg Les Trem, which is really cool. So it's very comfortable actually to play, and actually it's changed the feel of the guitar a lot, because with the Old Tailpiece, this was quite a, not rigid, rigid's the wrong word here, but you can definitely feel a lot more string tension. But now that I put this on, and obviously because we've now basically put a floating tremolo on this, the guitar has a much slinkier feel. So what's really cool about that is now this guitar is even more versatile. So now I have a tremolo on this, which means I can do more different things. But also that extra slinky feel is actually something that I didn't realize I kind of wanted this guitar to have. So actually, I think I like this guitar even more now than I did before. So even though I was quite reluctant to do that modification because I liked the way this played, yeah, I think I actually like it more now. I think that was definitely worth the upgrade. Obviously, the moral of the story is make sure you change your strings before you do anything major like this. Don't be lazy and look for a shortcut like I did and then have to restring anyway. So obviously, make sure you do that. I actually love the way it looks as well. I think that, I mean, I loved the way the guitar looked before, but I don't know, something about that tremolo makes it just even more pleasing to look at. I'm won over on that. Thank you so much to the guys over at B&G for insisting I check this thing out, because that was a really cool thing to do to the guitar. I'm very glad that I've done that now, so I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this. If you have tried one of these B&G tremolos, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. If you've done this upgrade yourself to your own B&G, or this is something you're considering doing yourself, let me know, because I'd love to hear your experience with this as well. You need minimal DIY skills to do this. As long as you can use a screwdriver and a drill, you can pretty much fit this to the guitar. Even someone like me who is typically terrible at these kind of things, and I always break things when I try and do big mods like this, even I found that simple. So if I can do it, anyone out there can do it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thanks once again to the guys at B&G for sending me the Tailbar Tremolo to check out. I love it, and yeah, a guitar that I was already obsessed with, you guys have now taken to a whole other level. Thank you so much for watching as always. I'm just gonna play a little bit now over a backing track and throw some of the tremolo action in for fun. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. See you guys soon.